Welcome to Unbreakable Latina. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. I missed you guys so much. I can't even remember what was the last episode, like what date it was, but I know it's been a while. Hold on, let me look. March 27th. So yes, March 27th, and we are on April 16th. So it's been about almost 3 weeks since I've talked to you guys. And I had such an amazing time off, but I definitely missed you guys. I posted a story on my Instagram because I wasn't sure if you guys want to hear about my Mexico trip, but so many of you are interested in listening to my adventures in Mexico. So let's get right into it. We left on a Tuesday, I believe the 28th. That's when we left. And if you've been following me for a while and you heard of my friend Angela and I's last Mexico departure, that we almost missed our flight, I had so much anxiety just thinking about being late and the fact that we were leaving from CBX, and you guys know how that is. If you've traveled from there before, you have to park your car and then cross the border, do all that stuff. Very easy, but I had also not traveled during the morning, and usually I travel at night. So it was a whole different experience, and Angela kept reassuring me we're going to be fine. I believe our flight left like at 9, but we do live like 2 hours away from that airport. So we ended up leaving like at 5 in the morning. We got there like at 7 something, and it worked out perfectly. We were way early, pero mejor prevenir que lamentar, because I rather be somewhere early than be late, especially when it's a flight. I think it's like a Mexican thing, because I remember when I was little, my parents used to go super early to the airport. But I have to keep in mind, like, back in the day, tenían unos belizotes bien grandotes. I don't know if you guys remember those. Or my dad was cheap and didn't want to buy like the fancy ones, but it was like this big old valise, and it just had something where they would pull it. It was so hard to navigate with those valises. You had to get like the carts and everything. So I can understand why my parents were at the airport so early, plus having kids and passports and just making sure that they know where the gate is. Have you guys seen that TikTok video where they write something like me going to check where my gate is just to make sure that it doesn't move? It's so funny to me because I always do this, and I thought I was the only person that did it, but apparently we all do it, where you pass through TSA and you do everything you need to do. You get to where your gate is and you look at it and you're like, okay, aquí va a ser. And then you carry on and go get coffee or go to the restroom, do whatever you have to do. Just, you always have to check where the gate is, okay? Porque luego te pierdes. So everything was smooth to this point. I was like, yes, we're here on time. I like this feeling. Angela was working. She's like, I'm glad we got here on time so we don't have to be rushing. I'm like, I told you, girl. And we started boarding our plane. Thankfully, we got like the 6th row, so I wasn't worried about like not having space for our luggage. I ended up taking my backpack and my carry-on. I'm a carry-on girly now. I used to be a checked bag girly, but it gets expensive. It's hard to like haul around. So I try my best. I have this travel backpack that's super perfect. It has all these compartments. I have it linked in on my Amazon storefront. I recommend it to anyone that's traveling because it's perfect. It also has a strap where you could put it on your carry-on, so you don't have to carry it the whole time if it's heavy, and it fits perfectly under the seats on the plane. So I just took those 2 bags. And we were sitting in the emergency exit. And the emergency exit, you can't have your bags on the floor. So I didn't know that. It was my first time sitting there. I usually don't like to be responsible for the whole plane. But anyways, I wanted good seats, and they're pretty spacious. So it's a nice area if there's no emergencies that happen. Thankfully, there wasn't. Well, kind of. So we're sitting, and then one of the ladies tells us, oh, you guys are gonna have to put your bags up there. And I'm like, shit, like I already, the pressure when you're getting on the airplane and trying to put your carry-on on top and not be that jerk that's like taking forever holding up the whole line. I don't know if anybody feels that way, but I feel that way. So I put mine in. Angela had the window seat, and then she was like, she got up to put the backpack up, and I'm like, oh, can you help me with mine? She's like, yeah. I did not realize this girl's bag was so heavy. So she like swings up her backpack and it falls back, like down, almost hits her in the face. And I just hear a pop. And I'm like, I look at her and I'm like, did you just hurt your arm? Like the whole plane is looking at her, okay? The pressure is on. And she looks in pain and I'm just like, this is how we're gonna start our trip. Like we were having such a smooth ride. And I'm like, are you okay? She's like, I need help. But like very serious. And I was like, oh shit, like this girl broke her shoulder. We haven't even got to Mexico. Estamos en Tijuana todavía. And finally some man, like all the men were staring at her. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm in shock and I'm about to get up. But this man's like, yo le ayudo. So he got up and I'm like, oh, can you help me with my bag? And she sits down and she's just holding her shoulder like together. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, like we're going to have to go to the hospital. And I go, are you sure you're okay? She's like, no, I'm fine. Like something just popped. And I'm like, yeah, like the whole plane heard it. But I was just wanting to make sure she was okay because Angela can be the type of person that will be like, I'm fine, and she's dying inside. So shout out to Angela if you're listening to this. You're like that. Be honest, girl. So she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, you can move it. It doesn't hurt. She's like, well, it's just like painful, but it's not too bad. So I was like, okay, we're fine. I'm like, let me know if it gets worse. Like I have Tylenol right here. And when we get to Mexico, we can go see like a sobadora or like we'll go to the hospital, whatever you need. Pero déjame llegar a Mexico primero, okay? I'm just kidding. If she was hurt, we would have got off the plane, but she wasn't. So she's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna sit down and relax. So she's still working from her phone, and I'm like, you need to chill out. Like, yeah, check out. Thankfully, like I'm able to check out of my job, but this girl can't. Sometimes she has to answer some emails, and she's working on her phone. It's like 9:40 something. Oh, I believe our airplane left at 10. And all of a sudden, her phone just freezes, right? Like complete freeze. It's on lock screen. And she's like, my phone's not working anymore. And I'm like, no way, shut up. Like, it's working. And she's like, no, it's not. And I look at it and I'm over here Googling before I lose signal because I'm not trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. I'm not trying to pay $12 because I want to try to sleep. And she's like, no, it's completely frozen. I can't even answer my emails. And I'm like, well, she's like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign that I need to slow down and really just take some time off and enjoy my trip. But we get to Mexico City, and as we're almost arriving, the lady, so we're on aisle 6 on one side, right? Like D, E, F, or whatever. A, B, C, yeah. The other lady is like on seat C on the opposite side, on 6 as well. And all of a sudden she starts, like the lady was crying. So I'm thinking like, oh, they're probably going to a funeral. Like she was there with 2 other people. And she's just like rocking back and forth and crying. And I'm like, okay, cálmate dramática. Yo soy la dramática aquí, tú no. And all of a sudden here, hay algún médico en este avión. It was like the movies, guys. And me and Angela was just looking like, what the fuck is going on? Like there's some bad juju on this plane. We finally land and they're like, oh, the ambulance is waiting for her. And there's a doctor there in the airplane that was flying with us, one of the fellow passengers. And I'm thinking to myself, like, is she really a doctor? Like, did she still show her credentials? If it was me, I'd be like, I'll just wait for the ambulance. I don't know. But if I'm dying, I guess maybe. But they gave her like a shot. I'm like, where did they get this shot from? I think that the airplane has one. They don't even know what's wrong with this lady. It's either her like ovaries or like her appendix. Like they were saying, like, that's what I understood. I was over there chismeando. But I felt so bad for her. And they were telling us like, oh, you guys can't leave the plane until she leaves. And all of a sudden, que dejan al first class que se salga. So like the first 5 rows were able to get out. And I saw, and Angela's like, hey, can I borrow your phone? I'm going to call my parents, tell them that I landed. I'm like, yeah, because her phone wasn't working, mind you. And I see an opportunity where like first class leaves and I'm like, I am not waiting. Like I have to pee. Angela's on the phone with her parents and I'm like, hey, Angela, let's go. I got our carry-ons from the top. I'm waiting for her. I leave her one so she could push it. And she's like rushing and getting up, right? And as we're walking out of the airplane, and all of a sudden I see her like panicking. Like she's like checking like her pockets, checking her backpack. She's like, hold on. I don't feel my wallet. She like ran back into the airplane and we weren't even like fully off the airplane yet. And they're like, you can't go in. And she's like, but my wallet's in there. She comes back, she's like, they're not letting me in. I'm like, what do you mean they're not letting you in? Like, we literally just got off like 2 seconds ago. So she comes back and she's like, someone stole my wallet. I'm like, oh my gosh. Her debit card and all this stuff and cash. I'm like, let's go to Lost and Found. She's like, Melina, we're in Mexico. Like, no one's gonna return that. And I'm like, you never know. They might take your money and then be like, oh, she needs her ID, her driver's license, and everything. But that's how our flight started. She got on her laptop really quick. I helped her like shut off her cards, and thankfully she had her passport like in another backpack, so it was fine. And we were just going to Lost and Found. I had to pee. I went to pee. And we were just like stressed out. But she was such a good sport about it, because I don't know how I would have acted if I would have lost my shit, because I don't know. I might have cried. She didn't cry, but she was really frustrated. And what sucks is that it had to be someone in our plane, like either one of the passengers or one of the people from the ambulance or the flight attendants. Like, we don't know. But that's shitty that people can be like that. So after our failed search, she just gave up and told me that she's taking the loss, lesson learned, and also she found some other cards she had in another wallet. Thankfully, she split her stuff, so it was not too bad. Y ya lo que pasó, pasó. Let's just get to our place. So we got an Uber, headed to her place, and we were starving because we left too early to like have a proper meal. But then it got really late. Ya llegamos, ya eran como las 2 o 3 de la tarde, and you know, traveling, you get all gross. So we get to her place, and the first thing was, let's fix your phone. So we're all Googling, and thankfully we were able to fix it so quickly. And finally, it's time for the most important thing. Let's go eat. So we decide to go to this place called Casa de Toño. If you haven't been there, it's pretty delicious, and they serve a lot. Service is like A1, super quick. It's like a chain restaurant. They sell pozole, sopes, de todo, de todo. But everything, all the dishes are so different from what I'm used to, being sopes and quesadillas. Over there, you have to ask, for the quesadillas, you have to ask with cheese. I know, it's kind of funny. It's like a cheeseburger with cheese. We start walking, and Angela goes like, oh my God, it feels like a monsoon's coming. And out of nowhere, this like wind gust comes. Thankfully, I was wearing my sunglasses, and it's just like dirt all over our faces. Like, I told her, girl, I don't know what you did, pero necesitas una limpia, porque just stop talking, please. Because anytime you say something, it goes south. And at this time, estamos bien pendejitas. Like, we're tired, we're hungry, estamos débiles, we're probably dehydrated. And we're just cracking up. We get to eat. We don't even enjoy our food, because you know when you wait so long to eat, que te agarra como asco. I don't know if any of you ever felt that, but you're so hungry that when you finally eat, como que no te cae bien. And that's what happened to us. So we ate and we just headed back. And our plan was to go out for a drink that night, because where we stay at, there's a lot of restaurants. But that didn't happen. It started like storming, and we just got an Uber. We went to Oxxo to get some agua and some chips, and called it a freaking day, like a wash, like whatever. Tomorrow's a new day. Today is just too much, and I cannot handle it. I just need a shower and lay in bed. And that's exactly what we did. The next day we woke up y nos fuimos a comer breakfast. Then I also had made Botox appointments, and I have gotten Botox a couple times, and I get it in my forehead porque soy bien gestuda. Like, I like to have a mad face all the time. If you know, you know. I have RBF. I suffer from RBF. So, not only RBF, soy muy gestuda. Like, I'll make faces all the time when I'm, like, pissed off, when I'm confused, or, like, at work, I do it all the time with my coworkers, like, what the F? And I'm just staring. Y se me hace una línea en medio between my eyebrows that's like really, really. My mom has it too, and my brother. And I think my little sister has it too. Somos gestudos así. So I like getting Botox. Just like, it's not that I don't want to age, it's just I want to look good, you know? You know what I'm saying? But if you haven't gotten Botox, I recommend it. If you do it in Mexico, it's so much cheaper than here. So for me, it has lasted me longer when I've done it in Mexico than when I've done it here. I don't know if they put extra stuff, but I love it. And if you guys need the doctor's information, I can send that to you if you go to Mexico City. She's great. I ended up doing that, and Angela was gonna do it too, but la doctora le dijo, "You don't need it, girl. Like you came to me a couple months ago, and you're fine." And she didn't need it because when she did the face, like they ask you to do like smile and to make a mad face, she didn't need it. So I did the Botox, and we kind of had a free day because we that's the only thing we had planned, and that's how our trip was, kind of like spur of the moment. Hey, what do you want to do today? And then you just think of something. We had a couple things on our list that we wanted to do. So since we were in Polanco, which is a colonia in Mexico City, we're like, what could we do around here? And I remember that I hadn't been to the Museo Sumaya. I believe that's what it's called. It's like that funky looking building. The first picture I posted, if you follow me on Instagram, we went there. It was really cool. The architecture was amazing. And just seeing art, because, I'm an artsy girl. No, I like going to museums. I love going to museums, and I just get amazed by like the things people create. I could never be that creative, but I love to see it. And next door was the Humex Museum. They constantly change the exhibits in there, so they're always different. And we went y tenían el Cartier. I don't know how to say it, but it's that fancy jewelry brand. They had pieces there of jewelry on display, like these huge diamonds. Like I was obsessed with chokers, the jewelry. Don't get it twisted, you weirdos. And I loved like all the diamonds. It was a super cool exhibit. So if you go to Mexico City, go to Museo Jumex. And next to Museo Jumex and Sumaya hay un mall. So it was hot, okay? Like we came from over here being like freaking 50 degrees to over there being like 80. And the sun was shining. And in Mexico, no sé por qué el sol parece que está más bajito porque you feel like the sun is burning you. And we didn't even put sunscreen. We're so bad. Don't yell at me if you're my esthetician. But we went to this mall and there was restaurants. There was Applebee's and a Chili's. I'm just kidding. There was no Chili's, but there was an Applebee's. I'm like, I'm not gonna go to Applebee's. We found this restaurant and we're like, this looks like a place where you find a sugar daddy. Sure enough, we walk in. We're like the only girls, and it was called something Caballero and I told Angela, is this like a restaurant for only men? Because I don't see any women besides the servers. And we were there. We sat by the bar, just wanted to have some drinks, and we had a guacamole, enjoying it. It was a slushy mango margarita de chamoy. We were having a great old time, but everybody kept staring at us like, "What are these girls doing here?" I'm like, "I don't know. Just pretend we belong here." And after that, ¿qué hicimos ese día? No me acuerdo qué más hicimos. We kept going to places and having a drink. And your girl drank every day on the trip except one. I know. I don't even know who I am anymore. Ni me reconozco. You guys know I'm not a big drinker, but she was on vacation. Wow, it's 18 minutes and that's just day one. So day one was that. Day two, what do we do day two? Day two, Angela wanted to do a massage, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So she booked the couple's massage, and it was my birthday gift, so I was so grateful. Went to the spa at the presidential, I don't remember what the hotel was called, but it was a spa. They had like a sauna, they had these jacuzzis, and they gave us a massage, and it actually was a couple's massage, so we were in the same room, and I'm like, well, this is a little awkward, but screw it, like we do everything together, so it's fine. And it's not the first time I've gotten a couple's massage. I think I did one with my sister, and I might have done one with another friend, and actually like with a ex-boyfriend, but this time it was like side by side. And then they're like, okay, like take off your robes and you guys just let us do it. I told Angela, look the other way, and you look, and she's like, don't look at me. I'm like, I'm not trying to look at you. And she's like, I'm not trying to look at you. So we lay there and they gave us the best massage. Like it hurt so good. And at the end, they had a bottle of champagne for us with chocolates. It was very romantic. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if one of my friends can do this for me, like the standard is high for these men, because I have friends and they'll book stuff for me, and I'm like, you guys are the best. Like, teach some of these guys a lesson, porque me siento como reina. My friends made me feel like a queen, and I love them. So after that, we were hungry and we went to Taqueria Orinoco. If you haven't been there, it's like a in and out of Mexico Super delicious tacos. Get the gringa. Es al pastor con queso. Tiene like pico de gallo adentro, I think. And then they do these papitas al lado. Delicious. So that was our second day. We went back to her house and we're just hanging out. And the next day, so this was Thursday. The next day, we were flying out to Guadalajara to go to Tequila. Pero dije, you know what? Like, let's go to this rooftop bar that I've been wanting to go to. So we went to the Sophie Hotel. I didn't make reservations because everywhere it said I didn't need them, but apparently we did once we got there, or we got scammed. I'm not sure. We got to the hotel and the lady's like, oh, hey, there's a wait, but you guys can wait at the speakeasy. This really, really fancy speakeasy. I love a speakeasy. And we had espresso martinis for the first time. They were so strong. And then I told Angela, I know you like coffee, but I like coffee, but not like this strong. And it was good, but the next at night I couldn't go to sleep. Then we went to the rooftop of the hotel. It was so pretty. You could see the Angel. And this whole trip, I just wanted to like take it in, and I did. I was able to like slow down for once and just live life. It was funny because we were walking around Mexico and Angela's always in a rush. And I kept telling her, you need to slow down. Like, stop walking so fast. Like, I am way taller than her, but that girl could walk fast. Like, I have long legs, but I don't know what kind of superpower she has. She walks so fast. But I kept telling her, you need to slow down. We're on vacation. We need to slow down. So that was Thursday. The next day we were leaving to Guadalajara. I didn't sleep the whole night. And then everybody kept telling me, I hope you don't get sick. I hope you don't get sick from your stomach. Tell me why I got sick. I got sick. I woke up when we were supposed to take the flight to Guadalajara. I was dying in the morning. You guys know, if you know, you know. Mexico on the runs. Yes. TMI, but whatever. That's what I do here. I get real vulnerable. And I told Angela, like, I'm dying. And she's like, well, hopefully it goes away before we get on the airplane. So we get to the airport early because I'm a psycho. And she has coffee. I'm dying. I get some medicine. I feel better. We fly to Guadalajara. When we get to Guadalajara, you guys, it's like 100 degrees. It was so hot. It was so like coming from Mexico, all cloudy and nice. I mean, it's hot, but not as hot as Guadalajara. It was so humid. We get there and we get to the hotel. Really pretty. We stayed at Hotel Morales in el Centro Histórico. And it was a nice day, pero con el calor, we just went to eat. We exchanged some money, and we went to Tlaquepaque. How could I forget? Tlaquepaque is a little, I don't know if it's a colonia or a city in Guadalajara. Sorry, I'm not a history major, but Tlaquepaque is a really cute town. And Angela took me to this restaurant that her parents used to take her when she was younger. They have mariachi, they had like a folclórico show and cazuelas de como cantaritos. So I'm like, screw it, let's do this. And then we got like some appetizers and we just had a good time. And the mariachi was singing. I love mariachi, and había unos charros, and you guys know that I have a thing for charros. So that was really cool. We ate some nieve de garrafa. We walked around and it was really cute, but we were so tired. Then we went to the la Catedral de Guadalajara. Walked around. And I told her, I'm like, girl, I want to explore more, but I'm dead. And we have to wake up early tomorrow because we were taking the train to Tequila. And we went back to the room. We rested, watched Love is Blind. Oh my God, have you guys seen Love is Blind? Do you believe Love is Blind? But that show, like, is crazy. If you haven't watched it, watch it. The next day we woke up really early and we went to the Jose Cuervo Express train. So we booked this trip, and I know a lot of you were asking me like what package did we get. We got hold on, let me look it up because I forget. So we got tickets for the train. The Jose Cuervo Express is called Experiencia Premium Plus and Amanecer. There's different packages. That's the one we got, and it was perfect. I think it ran about like, I want to say $150. I'm not sure. But this is all it includes, okay? So you'll get to the Jose Cuervo Express, where the train is. They greet you with café de olla o chocolate caliente, una conchita, y like they have manzanas, and I forgot what else they have. Anyways, that's what they start you off with. Everybody is there for the same thing. There was, I don't even know how many people. I want to say like at least like 400, 500, maybe more. No sé. I think it runs only on Saturdays. So if you do go to Tequila and you want you stay in Guadalajara and want to go to Tequila, I think it's a great experience. It was worth every penny. I think it would be really fun to go in a big group of friends, but it was just me and her, which was fine, but they sat us across from this couple, and at first they weren't very friendly. It just took them a couple tequila shots to get friendly because we were trying to start a conversation with them, and they were very like, they would answer like one word answers. But after a couple of shots of tequila, they became our homies and we had a good time. But it starts off with cocktails. They make 4 different cocktails and they tell you cual quieres y you pick. I thought they were only going to give us choice one time, but no, you could keep asking for cocktails and they're not stingy, okay? You could taste the alcohol. Like we were getting buzzed and we just ate a conchita. That's all we had in our a conchita y café de olla, so you can only imagine how fast we were getting a little buzzed. And then they start off like the girl, our leader, she introduces herself of our group. We're like group 6 and she tells us about the tequilas. They serve us like tastings of tequila and they teach us how to take a shot. So your girl is certified in taking shots now, but I will not be taking them because I don't like shots. I don't do well. It's not that I don't do well, me da asco. And even though I know how to take them now, like I don't want to drink to get drunk. I want to drink to enjoy my drink. You get what I mean? I don't drink to get drunk. I drink because I enjoy drinks. And if si me empedo, me empedo. Pregúntenme que andaba bien cruda ayer, pero we'll talk about it later. So, they give us all the tastings, and I'm buzzed at this point. I'm like, are they gonna give us food? And yes, I asked, they delivered. I'm just kidding. They gave everybody like a bunch of appetizers with chips. Apparently, chips are called topos in Mexico. There's a lot of words I learned this trip. Topos was one of them. I had never heard that before. But frijoles, dan frijoles, cochinita pibil, guacamole, I already said frijoles. I'm still drunk, guys. Y mole, ¿sabe qué tanto más? Anyways, we're like eating. So I'm like, Angela, you need to eat. I asked for water. I'm like, I'm the friend that is always gonna give you water in between drinking so you could last longer. And I don't want you to die because I'm not a good friend. I'm not the girl that's gonna be holding your hair. I'm the girl that's gonna be gagging if I hear you gag. So I always make sure my friends are hydrated. I'm big on hydration. And then I brought my liquid IV packs. Okay, plug right there. If you need a discount code, use code Unbreakable _ Latina for 20% off. Yes, 20% off and free shipping. Link is on the episode notes. Ay, mira, ya me hice bien commercial, girl. So as the closer we got to tequila, the more beautiful it got. You see the agaves everywhere and just like farm life. You know, you guys know I love a rancho life. So we get there, the mariachi's waiting. As we're coming off the train, they're playing music, welcoming us. We have to get on this bus that takes us to where we're going. So we go on the bus. And thankfully, our group, for the most part, stayed together and didn't wander off. So we didn't lose a lot of time. It was like on a tight schedule. So they take us to the museum. They could take us to the distillery. And it's pretty cool to see all of it. And they say, okay, you guys have 2 hours to explore tequila. I asked the tour guide, where's the best place to eat here? Because there's so many choices. She directed us to this restaurant. We went there. We had met some girls in our group. And I asked them, hey, you guys want to join us for lunch? So they came with us and they looked young, but I didn't realize how young they were. They're like 21, 23. And they were really cool. But it was funny because we were talking. I'm like, oh, how old are you guys? They're like, oh, I'm 21 and I'm 23. And I'm like, definitely getting old here. And they're like, how old are you guys? And we're like, 32 and 31. And they're like, oh, wow. And I was just thinking to myself, like, was that like a good wow? Or was that like, ya estás viejita, señora? So the food was delicious. I had carne en su jugo. Never had it, but my sister always talks about it. So my mom doesn't make that. And now I want to learn how to make it porque estaba, so good. Y tortillas hechas a mano. Y parecía que estaban cobrando las tortillas because they only gave us like one. And I'm like, you guys realize I'm Mexican? Like, I need 10. So we finished having lunch. The girls went their separate way. We explored a little. There was banda playing, mariachi. It's just a whole party. It's a vibe. And I definitely wish we had more time to explore, but we're on a tight schedule because we're with the group. So if it's your first time there and you're only going for a day, I suggest you do the tour group. If you want to explore more, I think the tour group is cool, but I also would have liked like another whole day to explore the rest of Tequila porque hay más que ver. Anyway, so our 2 hours were up. We got drinks. We sat down in the shade and we're just enjoying. And we saw the little girl that's famous on TikTok for taking pictures in Tequila. She's like, ¿Quieren que le tomes fotos? Para que se vean como Maribel Guardia. But we were so like sweaty and gross that I'm like, I don't want to take pictures right now. I'm like, no, gracias. But she was cute. She was getting her bag, you know? We met up with the group again and they told us to meet at this place for a mariachi show. So they had a mariachi show, they had charros again. I fell in love with this guy. He was so handsome, but I didn't see him towards the end and we were all already like pretty buzzed. They kept on feeding us like slushy margaritas. They did a whole show and after that they're like, "Okay, well the tour's not over. Like get with your team leader or your tourist guide. I can't even talk. And we're going to the agave fields. So we got on this other bus and it's like a really fancy, spacious bus. Like I wish the airplanes were made like this, very roomy, the AC was hitting. And from there they took us to the agave fields. It was beautiful. We get there. There's like a band, they have churros, they have esquite, they have everything's included, okay? They're giving out shots, they're giving out more drinks. At this point, I don't even want to drink anymore, but as we got there, they gave us like little cups with palomas. So I had to drink it, you know, because I'm there. And then they were walking around giving shots, we had snacks, took pictures in the agaves, and that was the whole day. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot of walking. So if you guys go, there's some girls that went in heels. Don't go in heels. Um, Angela took sandals that were comfortable, but her feet were like super dirty. I took botas. My feet were dead because tenía un poquito tacón, but I was hot. So wear comfortable shoes if you go because you're gonna be on your feet all day and there's a bunch of rocks. So I don't recommend wearing your Louis Vuittons. Pero it was such an experience. Then our drive back was like 2 hours. So on the way back, you don't take the train, you take those fancy buses, and then they drop you off in Zapopan. So that was the end of Tequila. The next day, we flew back to Mexico City, and the airplane, it was a rough ride. Our flight got delayed. Aeromexico has been rough. Usually, that's what I like to fly, but the flight to Guadalajara, the lady was rude to me. I don't know why. She was just being a little biatch to me because I asked her for more cookies. And then on the way there, some lady wanted to fight with me because she wanted me to check in my bags, and I said, "No, I'm not checking in my bags." She's like, but you're one of the last groups." I was like, "So my seat's seat number 6." And then she's like, "Well, you're gonna have to give us our bags." And she's like arguing with me in front of all these people, and I'm just like, "I'm not giving you my bags." I hate when airlines try to do that. And I get it. It's for so they could speed up the process, but I don't want you guys like throwing my shit around. And that's why I paid to have seats in aisle 6, 7, 8, so that way I don't have to be at the end. But that's besides the point. And don't mind me raging over here. I forgot. I have to email Aeromexico because not that lady, but another lady was being really rude to me. The flying back to Mexico City was really rough. It was like there was a lot of turbulence and like something, I don't know. It felt like the plane was gonna just crash. That's what it felt like. Angela was like, "If something happens, I love you." I'm like, "Shut up." I'm already like, I was so tired. The airport was hot in Guadalajara. And thankfully we made it to Mexico City and I'm like, I don't want to do anything. But then Angela had a friend that we met up with and we ended up going to this like festival where they sold a lot of greenery, if you guys catch my drift. And it was really cool. Everybody was really nice. It's like a mini Coachella. There was this band that was playing. I forgot their name, but I have them somewhere on my Instagram. And they play music como cumbia slash punk slash ska music. And I used to love going to punk ska shows when I was younger. So I felt like I was a teenager again, going to like a backyard party, and it was really nice. So every day we just kept doing random things. Like nos íbamos a comer to a new restaurant, and it was very nice. Angela and I had a lot of conversations while we were there, but like these are the highlights of my trip. The rest I just ate and like slept and ate more and just walked around. Every day we walked a lot. We visited different places and we went to the Torta de Chilaquiles. We did a lot. We went to parques, but nothing like the first beginning of the trip was like more go go, and the basis of this whole trip was just to like slow down, and we did that, and I appreciate that. We both, Angela and I, had a lot of conversations about, like being single, and we met a friend of hers that she made in Mexico, and we were talking about like dating, and she was telling us how hard it's been that she deleted the dating apps, and we were just venting to each other, telling each other about our tragic dates that we've had, and it was such a like kind of like a Eat Pray Love. I don't remember that movie, but it was like the sisterhood of the traveling pants. I don't know. It was something I needed that was very therapeutic. There was a lot that I talked about that, just telling my friend my goals. She was telling me hers, like my fears, and very, very. I got to know Angela so much on this trip. So I suggest, like, if you have any friends and you want your bond to get closer, this trip made our bond get so much closer because we shared a lot of stuff that we didn't know about each other. Like, it was crazy. Like, I felt like, I don't know, it felt very therapeutic. A lot of childhood memories, and another, like, a lot of traumatic memories that we have. We started talking about like, oh, well, what's been your best first date, and what's been the worst date, and what's one thing that you learned from your relationship. It was funny because we never talk, like, we do talk about stuff like that, but we were getting like really deep. And something that came up was, you guys know I was in a toxic relationship before, and I realized that I have blocked off a lot of things that happened in that relationship, that until somebody asks me something, it triggers a memory of something that, like, I feel like my brain has like all these memories, right? And I think I've heard this before. Like, we tend to block off our traumas. And I was telling her stories that I didn't even remember have happened, like had happened. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I have survived a lot. And I'm not saying like I wasn't physically hurt, so don't think it was that. But so much emotional damage was done in that relationship that I don't. So if you are going through something where you're in a relationship like that, get out, amiga. Like, get out. Like, when I was sharing things that happened to me or stuff that was said to me, Angela's jaw kept dropping. She's like, I can't believe like you've been through that. And when I did the episode about the toxic relationship, I really didn't get really into it because I didn't want it to be about that person. I wanted to be about my experience. I don't know if I ever want to like talk about it again because it just like it blows my mind. I'm like, I can't believe that was me going through those things, that I survived that, and that I got out of that, and it made me so much even more proud. And Angela was like, now I know why you are more picky like when it comes to like dating and stuff. I am, because I've been through the worst. And maybe like some people say like, oh, you're traumatized. I'm not traumatized. I just feel like I'm more aware of behaviors because I've been through it. And when people try to say that I'm picky when I'm dating, it's like, yeah, I am, because that was like in my 20s. I'm 33 now. Yes, a birthday happened too. So I know what I want and I know what I don't want. And if people keep telling me like, oh, you're picky, you're this, you're that, oh well. If it's not, I'm not asking for the perfect man, but I do want a good partner. And it just, your life can change so much by one decision. And my decision to walk away from that relationship is a pretty proud accomplishment of mine. And to some people, it might be like, really, walking away from somebody? Like, yeah, I thought this person I was gonna have children with, I was gonna get married with, and my life just completely changed, and for the better, because I wouldn't be here today. I don't think I would have this podcast because I'd be too busy being in a relationship. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what my future would look like, but I am really at peace where my life is right now. And I've traveled, I've learned so much about myself. I love who I am. I love my life, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So yeah, this trip was definitely very therapeutic. Like I said, between those days, like the last few days, we were just like, I can't even remember what we did, to be honest. Like, I know we did a lot of eating, we did a lot of like desserts and stuff like that. The last day that we were there, I really missed my mom though while I was gone, because she's like my ride or die, right? We do a lot of stuff together. So I remember I was talking to Angela's mom, and she's like, "Are you ready to come home?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "She misses her mom." I'm like, "I love my mom. I miss her so much." So I realized that I would have never survived living far away from my mom. And the last day that we were there, we had reservations at this, I think it's a Michelin restaurant, I'm pretty sure. Michelin restaurant, it's named one of the top 12 restaurants in the world, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me. It was expensive. That's all I know. So we had been wanting to go to, it's called Pujol. And we had been wanting to go to this restaurant for so long, but I was scared because I don't like seafood, and there was a lot of like seafood stuff. Pero dije, you know what? When in Rome, when in Mexico. So we went there, and it was such a cool experience. If you haven't seen it, there's a lot of videos. If you're into like seafood, it's good. If you're not into seafood, for me it was okay. But the experience was 10 out of 10. The food was like 7 out of 10. I did have caracol del mar or something like that. And that was good. It was like a ceviche. It was such a strange dishes. So if you saw pictures on my Instagram, there was strange dishes. We told them it was our birthdays, so they gave us like extra dessert. It was a 7-course meal. It turned out like to 8, 9 course meal with the extra dessert they gave us. And it was such a cool experience. Would I do it again? No, but the meal itself, $250 each. So yeah, say less, right? Like I said, I am not a bougie person, but when it comes to experiences, I will spend the money, and that's an experience I'll never forget. Um, they had like H mole. It was a whole thing. So look it up if you're interested in going there. You do have to make reservations ahead of time, and you do have to be a type of person that likes fancy stuff and like weird looking food. I'm not that person. But I ate it and I was like, okay, like I didn't do too bad. I could do fancy, but I'd rather have some tacos. And what else happened? Oh, another thing. A lot of people asked me, did I feel safe in Mexico? And the answer is yes, I felt safe. We do stay in an area that it's pretty safe. It's called Cuauhtemoc. There's always like police patrolling the area, and you rarely see like any, I call them zombies, but like people that look like they're homeless or they're on drugs and stuff. You don't see that as often there. There are other areas that are a little sketchy where there's people drinking outside and stuff like that. But we stay in Cuauhtemoc. There's also Roma Norte and Condesa, where they're like quieter areas. Not quieter, pero más safe, where I would stay, and I would recommend any of my family members or friends going to stay there. How do I find all the places I go to? I get that question, like, how do you do it? Honestly, TikTok has helped a lot. Whenever we search for places to do, or you go to TripAdvisor is another good place where you can go and find like things to do. Make sure you do your research before you travel, like kind of have like ideas of what you're going to do, because in the city, Mexico City is really busy, right? So you might think like, oh, this is only like 5 miles from here, but in traffic, or if you're taking an Uber, if you're walking, it takes a little longer because it's so busy. So keep in mind that there's certain things that take all day. Like if you're going to go to the pyramides, that's going to take you a whole day. If you're going to La Casa de Frida, the museum, that you need reservations for that. So just look into all these things, and if you see places that are near each other, try to do all that in one day so you don't have to go back to that area. This was my third or fourth trip to Mexico City, so I'm a little more experienced in like where to go and what to do. Pero when I went like the first time, it was a shorter trip and I had to cram everything in one. So I didn't really get to enjoy to slow down and walk around because there's so many beautiful parks out there and there's a lot to do. But I didn't get to slow down because I was like, Piramides, Basilica. Like, I had a bunch of stuff lined up. The second time I went, actually, this is my third time. Second time I went, Angela planned everything for me and we were kind of like, go, go, go. This time we slowed down. We did what we wanted. We just, chilled out for once. Yes, I felt safe. There was an incident where I didn't feel safe. So, because I was in Mexico City, I started, when you're watching TikTok, it starts seeing where you're at. Videos kept coming up, and there was this video of this girl saying that she got on this Uber and the Uber didn't look like the driver. And then she did a little more research and realized that that guy had just started Uber driving that day. So she got out of the Uber because she didn't feel safe. So I don't know, that stayed in my head. So every time I would order Uber, I started checking how many rides they had, what the rating was. So I started doing that. And then at some point we went to the biblioteca, ¿cómo se llama? La Biblioteca Vasconcelos, and I forgot what part of the city it is, but anyways, we went there, and the area is not as nice as the other areas we had been in. So right away, my guard was up, right? And we ordered Uber because we wanted to go somewhere. Well, duh, ni modo que nomás order it just because. We ordered an Uber. Well, I ordered it and I clicked on the picture of the guy because it said it had 5 stars. So that was the first red flag. Because I'm like, nobody has 5 stars, okay? It had to be like 4.98, 4.99. And it said that the guy had only been driving for a day. And it also said that they had like 300 rides. How could you be driving for a day? It's like 11 a.m. y ya tienes 300 rides. It seems sketchy, right? So I canceled it. And then because we were in the area, I was like, oh, they probably, I don't know. Pensé, nos van a robar aquí. So we canceled it, got another one, and it was a normal one. So make sure you're looking at the ratings. The last day we went to Pujol, I wanted to be fancy. I wanted to order Uber XL. Because we're going to a nice area, we're going to a nice restaurant, like why not? A lot of the cars in Mexico, not that I'm like fancy, but you're going to a nice restaurant, like why not, like, go all out? We're going for our birthdays, screw it. So an Audi's gonna pick us up, okay? It had a 5-star rating, it had 1,000 something rides. Guess how many days they've been driving? A day. So right away I cancel it. I'm like, they probably think we have money because we're going to Pujol, we're gonna get like murdered right here. So just be aware, like I said, everywhere you go, we're in America. This place is not safe. Like, I don't feel safe going to Target by myself. I'm gonna be real with you guys. A lot of crime happens everywhere, but just be aware of your surroundings. Don't be dumb when you go to Mexico. Don't believe in just anybody. Do your research. There is a lot of nice people in Mexico. Another tip I have if you're going, if you do not speak Spanish, that's fine, but please attempt to. Don't expect people to speak English. You know how many times we went to places and people were like, does anybody speak English? Like, entitled, okay? Super entitled people. I found it very rude. And of course, me and Angela communicate better in English, so they would see us talking in English, and right away the servers would be like, oh, they're trying to speak English. They're like, oh no, we start talking in Spanish. And they're like, oh, it's because you guys were talking in English. I'm like, yeah, because, I mean, we are from over there, but, us Spanglish for days. And what other tips I have? Just do your research. Ask people if you know someone. Like, I know a lot of you guys have asked me for recommendations. Although I do have a few videos of Mexico City, Angela has more. Her username is Chula Travels on TikTok, where she highlights different places she's been to. And there's a lot of people that live in Mexico City that make videos, and you see what places you want to visit, send them a DM, ask them a question. So that's a little summary of my trip. Our way back was so smooth. Our flight attendants were nice and got here in one piece. Our car was there, the battery was fine. Went to In-N-Out, came home, felt so out of place. Right away, did my laundry. That was Saturday, April 8th, I came back. It took us a while to get home. There's a lot of traffic, pero llegamos. I went to the grocery store with my mom because the next day my family was coming over for my birthday. And I turned 33 on Sunday, last Sunday, April 9th. I used to think that by 33, I'd be married, I'd have kids, I've had a house, I've had all this, but I wouldn't trade in this life for anything else. And although I do want those things, I think everything comes with time. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with who I am. And like, it was just a birthday where I'm very grateful where I am because I've been through a lot and I just wanted to spend time with my family. So my family came over on Sunday and I was sick. I woke up feeling so sick, another stomach bug, and I was trying to tough it out like I was dying, but I thankfully it wasn't COVID, so I tested, it wasn't COVID, and I was like, it's just, the usual get sick after Mexico. Because last time, not the last time, but the time before that, the same thing happened to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the elevation. No sé, pero me enfermé bien chingón. So if you messaged me on my birthday and I was short with you, I'm sorry. I just like, I wanted so hard to enjoy like just being home with my family, and I could tell that everybody, I don't know if everybody knew, but I was dying inside. Like I was just like trying to keep up. I didn't even enjoy my food because I just felt sick. I had the chills. I was a mess on my birthday because I was sick, but my family came through. It was really nice to see all of them. I just wish I was feeling better. Once everybody left, I just died in my couch, and I thought that I had to go to work the next day, but I checked my schedule and thankfully I had Monday off as well. So I was very grateful for that because I just laid in bed and just tried to get better. The next day I felt better after I think not only was I sick from my stomach, I think I was also getting dehydrated because, like with travel and everything, you don't drink enough water. So I think I was getting dehydrated and that's why I was feeling worse and I was trying to like be tough. But I stayed home on Monday, and if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a video because I like to trauma dump. Um I haven't talked to my dad in 4 or 5 years. I don't even remember. It's been so long. And that morning my sister texted me and was like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And I told her like, "Oh, I'm a little better. I'm still in bed. I didn't go to work." And she's like, "Okay, well, I didn't want to bother you last night, but I got this text." And it was a text from my dad telling my sister like that he wishes everybody the best, and that he wanted to wish me a happy birthday, but he doesn't have my phone number. And whew, I'm not gonna say it didn't affect me because it did. Because I always ask this question. I always think, does he think of me? And it made me happy that he does. Like at first I was like felt this like my answer was answered. But at the same time, it broke my heart again. During this trip, I kept seeing daughters like with their dads, like little ones, big ones. And I always notice that when I see a father-daughter relationship, I remember that I don't have that anymore. And I haven't had that for a long time. And I probably won't ever have that again. And it's hard when you think about it that way. So if you also are going through this where your parent is in this world where you don't have a relationship, it comes in waves. Um, there are days where you don't think about it. There are days where you think about it all the time. But at first, like my sister was like I don't want to share my sister's feelings because that's her privacy. She doesn't have a podcast where she like airs it out, but she's like, "How do you feel?" And I was like, "Oh, I cried. I'm fine." But I just let myself feel it. I let myself just lay in bed and feel it. And I was sharing it with Angela, and like right away she FaceTimed me, and just cried to her. And Angela was the one that was like, well, your question was answered. He does think of you. Because I always tell her that when we talk about it, I'm like, I just wonder if he thinks about me. And not about me in general, but just like about my family. Like about us. Like my siblings, my mom, my niece. And I always think about that. And it's hard. It's so hard to, because I felt like I had been fine for a long time, because people ask me all the time, like, how do you deal with it? And I'm like, I just deal with it. Like, I have no choice, you know? Like, I can't change somebody. I can't make them what I want them. I just have to take it for who they are and what type of choices they want to make in life. And addiction is so sad. I've dealt with different family members having addictions and drug addictions, and if you are going through that as well, I send you a hug. And I just want to remind everybody that it's not your fault. It's not even their fault. Sometimes, like, we don't know what it's like to be addicted, you know? Like, I've never been addicted to anything except toxic men. I'm just kidding. But in reality, I don't know what addiction is like. And I'm pretty sure it's very dark. But not only does it affect that person who is addicted, like the family, they hurt. And it's hard because you can't do anything about it. And I always think, like, what if that didn't happen? What would have my life been? I would probably be hanging out with my mom and dad right now, going to have mariscos for the millionth time at the same restaurant, because that's what we would do. But receiving that message, especially after that trip, because in that trip I also talked a lot about like daddy issues, and I want to do an episode about that. I wasn't going to talk about the message, but I know a lot of you have been reaching out, and I appreciate you guys caring about how I'm doing, and I'm fine. But like I shared with some of you guys that I just let myself feel the emotions, and I don't know what to do with them. But talking about it helps, and I do want to do an episode dedicated on daddy issues, because as I've been healing, I have been just thinking about a lot of things I tolerated in romantic relationships that I thought were okay, because I grew up thinking that's what couples do. So, you know, they fight, they argue, and it makes them stronger. That's what I used to think. But there's some things that shouldn't be tolerated, and a lot of times I think it has a lot to do with how we grow up, what the romantic relationships that we see around us, and just our culture, right? And I let myself feel the feels, and you know, mourning someone who's alive is difficult. Like I've talked about it in that previous episode. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't really remember what I say. Like, I recorded and then I get messages from people that are barely starting to listen to my podcast, which I totally appreciate, but I'm like, I said that? And I don't remember. I have the worst memory. Like, most of my podcasts are kind of spur of the moment type of things. Like right now, I didn't think I was gonna cry for this long. But it was hard. It was hard. I felt okay after, but obviously, like, still in my brain, it made me feel a little peace, but like I said, it also broke my heart a little. And I hope that wherever he's at, he's okay. I know he's alive now, and I mean, I knew that before, but sometimes, like, when I don't hear anything about him, I always talk in past tense. I say, my dad used to do this, and my dad used to do that. And people are always like, oh, your dad passed away? I'm sorry. And I'm like, no. And it's just awkward. It's an awkward conversation to have, but, and I don't mean to make anyone feel uncomfortable, because I know there's been a couple times where, like, someone asked me, like, oh, your dad passed away? or when did your dad pass away? I'm like, oh no, he's actually alive. We just don't talk. And I don't ever want to be the person that hides it. I don't want to pretend everything's fine. Because I used to be. That's something that I feel like in our culture, you gotta pretend like you're fine. And I was one of the first people in my family that was like, no, not everything's fine. I'm very transparent. And you guys know that if you've been following me since I started this podcast. I've always been vulnerable. I show you my ugly side. I show you my nice side. I have, I'm not a perfect person. I'm just a girl that shares her trauma on a mic in her room. But if it helps one person not feel alone, I am doing what I meant to do with this podcast. And you guys always reassure me of that when you share your stories with me and you tell me like, oh, I feel validated. So yeah, that's how my 33rd birthday started, which was hard when I was sick, but then I felt better and now I'm back to normal. On a lighter note, on Friday I went out with my friends. Ooh, they set up a birthday / dinner drinks thing for my friend and I, and it was so much fun. We went to Calaveras in Riverside, and I kept hearing mixed reviews about that place, but it was so much fun. It might have been the group of people I was with, but my friends are hilarious, so we're just cracking jokes left and right, ordering drinks, and your girl was buzzed. Y luego de pilón, ya que me pongo así, I'm like, let's keep going. And everybody's like, hey, yeah, let's go. Where are we going? So we ended up going to like the club, guys. We went to the club. We were at Calaveras till like almost 10. Then we ended up at the club. Who is she? I don't know, but I was done. And fortunately, I wasn't like super hungover the next day. But I realized that I'm old and I can't hang like that, but I want to do it again. Not the club. I just want to go to Calaveras and then get my Uber home, because going to the club was like a bad mistake. And a lot of my friends were feeling it the next day. They're like, we're too old for this. And we don't do it often. Actually, we've never done that together, this group. So it was a good time. I definitely kept telling them, we'll have to do this once a month. But that was drunk Melina talking. And then yesterday, I went to a Nopalera pop-up event, which was really cool. I met Sandra, who is the owner, and I want to have her on the podcast. We had talked about it before we met. I've talked to some people on her team. And I also have a discount code if you guys want to order any Nopalera stuff. I love their body scrub and their soaps are good. And they also have this bar that's like a lotion that amazing. So check it out. Let me tell you guys my discount code. So if you want to order from Nopalera, I'll put a link on the description of this episode, but use code Melina15 for 15% off your next order. I met a couple girls there. One of them that I follow on TikTok, and she follows me on TikTok. So shout out Michelle if you're listening to this. So nice meeting you. Sometimes I forget that I have a platform, and I get shy, but I'm getting better now that I keep going to events, like trying to get out of my comfort zone. And like, you guys know I talk to you guys behind the mic all the time, but when I'm in person, I get a little nervous. So if you see me being a little nervous, it's just I'm working on my social skills. I don't know why I get nervous. Anyways, it was nice meeting all the girlies, and I want to thank you guys so much for being so patient and waiting for this episode to drop. I know you guys have been saying I miss you, blah blah blah. I miss you guys too. This break was definitely needed, and I can't wait to keep recording because I love you guys. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Unbreakable Latina. On Twitter at Latina Podcast. And also, thank you guys so much. You guys sold me out on my hats. And now I have to start working on more merch. I know I talked about sweatshirts and I never got it done, but your girl is trying. I'm only a one-person team. I do have a sale going right now for the sticker bundle for free shipping. Use code Unbreakable33 and you get free shipping. So go ahead and place your order so you can put it on your laptops or on the bumper of your car. I'm just kidding. Don't put it on the bumper of your car. On your hydro flask and everything like that. But go order the stickers and let me know what kind of merch you guys want next. I'm so indecisive. I do want the sweatshirts, but now it's summer, so I might want shirts again. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.